There's a strange assumption we make about people who spend time alone. We think they must be lonely, lost, maybe a little broken. But here's the paradox. Some of the most content people you'll ever meet are the ones who've learned to sit with themselves in the quiet, not because they gave up on connection, but because they discovered something the rest of us are too afraid to find out, that sometimes the deepest company you'll ever know is your own. We live in a world that celebrates togetherness. The group photo, the Friday night plans, the notifications that prove someone somewhere is thinking of you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Connection is beautiful. It's human. But somewhere, along the way, we started measuring our worth by how rarely we're alone. As if solitude is a gap that needs to be filled, a silence that screams failure. The truth is, people who stay alone aren't running from the world. They're returning to themselves. They've realized that in the constant noise of other people's voices, opinions, energies, you can lose the sound of your own thoughts, your own heartbeat. Psychologists call it self-regulation, the ability to manage your emotions, your energy, your identity, without needing someone else to hold the mirror. But it's more than that. It's the courage to face the parts of yourself you'd usually distract away. The unfinished thoughts. The unresolved feelings. The version of you that exists when no one's watching. And that takes strength most people don't talk about, because being alone isn't passive, it's active, intentional. It's choosing your own company over constant validation. It's preferring depth over distraction. Some people stay alone because they're healing, others because they're creating, some because they've simply outgrown the versions of connection that no longer fit. They're not unsocial, they're selectively social. They've learned that energy is currency, and not everyone deserves access to theirs. If you're someone who stays alone, you've probably heard the questions. Why don't you go out more? Don't you get bored? Aren't you afraid of being lonely? And maybe you smile, maybe you shrug it off. But inside, you know something they don't. That loneliness and aloneness are not the same thing. Loneliness is an ache for connection you don't have. Aloneness is a choice to protect the connection you have with yourself. You've learned that you can be surrounded by people and still feel empty, and you can be alone and feel full, because solitude isn't about isolation, it's about clarity. It's where you hear your own voice again, where you remember what you actually think, not just what you've been told to think. It's where your creativity lives, your rest, your honesty. The people who understand this don't fear silence. They trust it. They know that in a world constantly asking for your attention, your energy, your performance, the ability to be alone with yourself is a form of freedom. A rebellion even, not against people, but against the idea that your value is determined by how much space you take up in other people's lives. So maybe the question isn't why some people stay alone. Maybe the question is, what are they protecting? Their peace, their clarity, their sense of self in a world that's always trying to rewrite it. And maybe that's not something to fix or explain. Maybe it's something to honor. Because the people who can be alone without being lonely have figured out one of life's quietest truths. You don't need to be everywhere to matter. You just need to be somewhere real. Even if that somewhere is just with yourself. And that's not emptiness, that's coming home.